Good day, dear grade 8 learners. I trust all of you are well, keeping safe, as well as warm during these cold, uncertain times that we are living in. For today's lesson, I'd like you to turn to page 7 of your resource pack as we will begin to explore our section known as substance abuse, which can be found towards the bottom of page 7 on your resource pack. To begin, what is substance abuse, dear boys and girls? Yes, substance abuse involves taking substances, but it's also important to note that these substances are not only illegal substances, they can also be legal substances. And it's referred to when you take drugs, both legal or illegal, that are not allowed or illegal. It is when you use alcohol, prescription medication, and other legal substances or illegal substances too much or in the wrong way. In other words, simply said, substance abuse involves using substances in a way that is harmful to your body. Substance abuse, however, differs from addiction, although addiction is linked to it, in the sense that many people with substance abuse problems are able to quit or can change their unhealthy behavior. But when addiction comes into play, it makes it that much harder, because addiction can be regarded as a disease. And as we know, that an addict is someone who is dependent on a particular substance and cannot do without it. And this substance can be both legal or illegal and can eventually cause you some harm. The next question that we can ask ourselves is, what is the cause of substance abuse? Why do people abuse substances? Some of the reasons are a family history of addiction, sleep problems, chronic pain, financial difficulties or stress, divorce or the loss of a loved one, long-term habits, like a long-term tobacco habit or long-term alcohol habit, a tense home environment, and a lack of parent attachment or involvement in childhood. Negative peer pressure also plays a part, dear boys and girls. And that's why it's important, once again, to choose the right group of friends that promotes positive peer pressure rather than negative peer pressure. Moving on to the consequences of substance abuse, found on page 8 of your resource pack. Short-term consequences such as difficulty in concentrating, sleepiness or tiredness, slurred speech, headaches, discipline problems are some of the short-term consequences. And then onto long-term consequences is that substance abuse hampers or slows down the development of your brain. You won't be able to learn properly. Your ability to think and speak is affected. You have constant health problems and may have to be medicated on an ongoing basis or hospitalized even. Low motivation to try and achieve the task that you have set up or to try and achieve your goals in life. Behavioral problems, as well as a lack of interest. Boys and girls, it's also important to remember that substance abuse is not a case where it can't be treated. There are ways to deal with substance abuse. Firstly, effectively deal with peer pressure. This refers to finding a better group of friends who have a positive impact on your life and encourage you to do good. If you have friends who engage in negative peer pressure and encourage you to do wrong, I suggest that you change your group of friends. I assure you that it will impact greatly on your lives in a positive way. Deal with life pressure. Yes, we all, both children as well as adults, experience pressure in our lives. Right? But the important thing is not to resort to substance abuse. Take up exercising, read a good book, volunteer with the needy, or create something. Or do something that is positive and helps you relax and take your mind off using drugs to relieve stress. Because, boys and girls, the fact is this: if a person uses drugs or substances, other substances, legal or illegal, to try and get rid of their stress, their problem will not go away. Instead, the problem will remain there. But the next day, when they wake up from their bed, the trick, boys and girls, is to work through it. If you experience mental illness, it is important that a person goes and seeks help for the mental illness. Those with mental illness may turn to drugs as a way to ease the pain. Those suffering from some form of mental illness, such as anxiety, depression, or post-traumatic stress disorder, also known as PTSD, should seek the help of a trained professional or a rehabilitation center for treatment before it leads to substance abuse. Number 4, examine the risk factors. If you are aware of the biological, environmental, and physical risk factors you possess, you are more likely to overcome them. A history of substance abuse in the family is known. Living in a social setting that glorifies drug abuse and a family life that models drug abuse can be a risk factor. And lastly, it's important to keep a well-balanced life. Make time for your work, make time for your family, make time for your friends, and make time for God. And normally people take up drugs when something in their life is not working, or when they're unhappy about their lives or experiencing stress. It's important to look at the big picture and have priorities in order, which means looking at your life from a bird's eye view and seeing what can you do to improve those areas which are being neglected, and how can you pay attention and manage your time in order to pay attention to the different areas of your life. And it's very important to note as well that drugs are not cool. Say no to drugs. Say yes to a healthy life. Now, for the week ahead, boys and girls, you would have already completed activity 7, which involved matching the word or phrase in column A with the correct word or phrase in column B. And an example has been provided for you. And this activity 7 would have been completed already, or should have been completed already, and which will be reviewed in the new week. Now, moving on to page 10 of your resource pack, boys and girls. For the week ahead, I would like you to complete activity 8, which involves designing a poster on an A4 page to promote substance abuse awareness. And your poster will be assessed on the following criteria, such as the content that it refers to, content related to substance abuse, creativity. Yes, you are encouraged to make your poster as creative as possible. You may use as much use of color as you like and design it in a way that you see fit. Images or pictures related to substance abuse. These pictures can be found in magazines as well as from the internet if you wish to go and look for pictures from the internet, or even hand-drawn pictures will suffice. Relevance. Yes, the information must be relevant to substance abuse, as well as the pictures must be relevant to substance abuse. Otherwise, you will lose marks if it is not relevant to the topic at hand, which is a poster to promote substance abuse awareness. And lastly, you will also be assessed on your overall presentation of your poster. And boys and girls, kindly refer to the key provided on page 10 of your resource pack, which shows you how you will be assessed according to your poster. And your next activity for the week goes on to a section called a relation between schools, interests, and abilities. And The activity that I'm referring to is activity 9, which involves to redraw the table on page 11 in your notebook and rank the learning areas you enjoy the most from 1 to 5. Your most favorite learning area will be 1, and your least favorite learning area will be 5. And you may use the table on page 11 of your resource pack to guide you when completing this activity. So, to remind you once again, boys and girls, for the week ahead, I, Mr. Essing, would like you to complete activity 8, which involves designing a poster on an A4 page to promote substance abuse awareness, and moving on to activity 9, which involves redrawing the table, which is shown on page 11 of your resource pack in your notebook, and ranking the learning areas you enjoy the most from 1 to 5. And an explanation is required to be provided for why you like or dislike this learning area. With that being said, boys and girls, do stay safe and take care. I thank you.